We all know that we can do better in Canberra, and we do have to set an example. I agree with you entirely that, in the highest office in the land, we lead by example, and that's why I'm really looking forward to seeing what Kate Jenkins is going to recommend about making sure that, whilst it's a very unique workplace in Canberra, that we are actually setting an example for all Australians.
If you want to set an example, do you need an inquiry into the allegation against Christian Porter?
Well, I believe that the appropriate process and the appropriate place for any criminal action or any criminal allegation to be tested is within our judicial system, whether it be through the police, whether it be through a coronial inquest. But that is the appropriate place for criminal inquiry to be undertaken. Everybody in Australia should be judged by the same set of rules. None of us are above the law, but we equally all need to be judged by the same set of rules. And that process has stood the test of time for many, many years. The rule of law in Australia protects every Australian, and it shouldn't matter where you work. You should still be judged by the same set of rules. This is not really about a criminal matter, though. The investigation has fallen apart because the alleged victim in this case is deceased. And so it's not about criminal allegations, and it's not about facing a criminal charge. It's about whether or not the Attorney-General is a fit and proper person to hold the office of the highest law officer in the land. Given that every other lawyer would go through a similar sort of test about whether or not they are a fit and proper person, is it not befitting that the Attorney-General submit himself to an inquiry like that? Well, I actually disagree with you. I actually do think this is about a criminal allegation. The circumstances around this allegation are very distressing, very traumatic, and we have a court system, a judicial system, in which those sorts of allegations need to be tested. So I absolutely believe this is about a criminal allegation. But there's no charge. I mean, the logic of what you're saying is that if the Attorney-General was accused of something that wasn't criminal but was still heinous, then there could be an inquiry. But if it's so bad that it would be criminal, then there shouldn't be an inquiry. Do you see that that doesn't make much sense in the context of someone's fitness for office when it's an office this senior? Well, I don't actually agree with that because it is a criminal case, there is already a very structured,
Minister, it's not a criminal case.
Processes that are in place.
If there were a criminal case, there would be a criminal hearing. There isn't. There is no criminal case because there is no possibility for the police to gather the evidence to mount a criminal charge. So that leaves the next question about whether or not we have someone fit for office in an office that's that esteemed. Well, the Attorney-General has put himself forward. He has made an absolutely categorical statement that the allegations are not true. The police in New South Wales have undertaken an investigation and found that there was no case to go forward with. We still have a situation in South Australia where the matter is before the coroner. You are asking me to pass judgment on something which I'm not prepared to do because the systems that are in place have still yet to take their course. And as I said, and I'll reiterate it again, nobody in Australia should be judged by a different set of standards. We have a situation here that is criminal by nature, and therefore the appropriate judicial processes should be allowed to take their course. But Minister, he wouldn't be sent to prison if this found against him. This would not be that. It's not a different set of rules for this person. It's not as though Christian Porter would find himself convicted of something on a different standard to everybody else. It's a different question because he holds a very particular office. Do you accept then, at the very least, as a general proposition, that the criminal justice system very often fails victims of sexual abuse and sexual assault because the way that the evidentiary burden works means that the case cannot be established by the police? Look, I will acknowledge that cases of crimes of this nature are tremendously difficult. No one case is the same as the next case. And it is a very traumatic situation for victims, and of course, but the law still remains the same. Everybody in Australia has the presumption of innocence until they are proven guilty, and we must never move away from that concept. Yep. Okay. Minister, thank you very much for putting yourself forward today. We appreciate it. Thanks very much.
All right, we have to leave it there. More with Project after the break.